Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic, and here is some Love is Blind news for you out there. As you know, I am host of Bachelor Nation News, and the off-season just hit us, but we are in full force with the content around Love is Blind Season 4. I made a Love is Blind Season 4 video yesterday, and it did extremely well. I mean, you guys have spoken. The tribe has spoken. You want more of this content. So we have Irina saying, I didn't feel safe. We have Zach saying, I made a mistake not picking Bliss. All of this comes out weeks before the live after show reunion. There's going to be a reunion episode live on Netflix. Netflix is new to this live game. I'm going to probably have a live stream directly after that for all of us to talk. So just do me a favor and make sure you are subscribed. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at DNeals. And if you're new to my channel, every single day I do a Patreon on West Coast time at 10 a.m. Patreon.com/Dave Neal if you want to be a part of the private live streams. And every afternoon, public and free, is Bachelor Rush Hour, the podcast, which is entertainment news centered around the Bachelor world, but in this case, we'll be talking a lot about Love is Blind, American Idol, and just other pop culture news. Link in the comment section or go to bachelorrushhour.com. So we covered yesterday Irina, and by the way, you guys gave this 25,000+ views. I mean, you really came out of nowhere to watch this. We covered Irina with her apology from her heart, discussing why, she was apologizing to multiple cast members on her season of Love is Blind. We will get more into that in another video today, so double check and make sure you're subscribed to get the alert for that, because Shane has now responded saying it's despicable what people are doing. She made mistakes, but we're going to play Shane's response next. But first, I wanted to get into Claire and Emma from the Love to See It podcast, and they of course cover Bachelor content, but now are also covering Love is Blind. First, let's play their clip they have finding out who Justin from Bachelor in Paradise, which of his cousins is on the show.
All right, so let's put this to bed.
The question was, are you and Justin cousins? Such a cool Bachelorette Love is Blind crossover. And of course, he calls.
It isn't America's favorite hopeless romantic.
So there he is, America's favorite hopeless romantic. He is cousins. Breaking news with Justin. All right, so there it is. Our worlds are officially colliding. And now here's Claire and Emma's take on why they think Zach would be appropriately matched with Bliss.
He just keeps staring at Bliss with googly eyes. She is signing on to all of his weirdo tendencies. They're just so well matched in ways that clearly he and Irina weren't, and I'm starting to want them to get together. I don't know. I'm starting to feel it.
Oh, I'm here for it. I'm fully into it.
Yeah. And
I've liked Zach from the beginning. I've liked Bliss from the beginning. Yeah. They seem like a genuinely good match. I'm like, yeah, you two should date.
And
do it.
Genuinely kind of nerdy people. One space where I do think they're underrepresented in pop culture is dating shows. How often do you genuinely have awkward people talking about playing the Harry Potter theme in their home on a dating show?
Not enough.
Not enough. This is real life, and I love it. He just keeps staring at Bliss.
Okay, so the idea, first of all, maybe Bliss wants him to blink as much as Irina does. But Batch or Bust commented, I'm surprised you guys think they're a good match. Bliss's face when they were dancing in the kitchen was one of pure disgust. She makes it almost every time he touches her. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think they're a good match? I guess we're going to find more out at the live sort of reunion episode that they have. But the featured piece of content for this video is Love is Blind Irina discussing Zach and why she didn't feel safe or comfortable with him, which of course is very interesting because, I mean, look, here's the deal, right? We got to call out the elephant in the room. I'm a stand-up comic. When there's something goes down in the room, you want to call it out. Love is Blind, and this is my opinion, as an experiment, has so many faults to it. Love is not blind. The show, I understand that you can't go blind for the whole, although, in fact, some people want to watch the show blind. Watch this.
So while I'm painting, I'm also watching Love is Blind, but I'm watching it blind so that I'm surprised too when they meet.
Okay, so watching it with a towel over her TV. Very nice. Come stay a while on TikTok. But the point that Love is Blind as a theory, I think it's not blind. I think the show Love is Blind is having the same success rate as Bachelor in Paradise. And also, Love is Blind, and I'm going to get to this in a separate video. Love is Blind, sure, the initial attraction may be blind, but that's really like projections that are happening in your brain. Like your brain is listening to somebody and it's trying to scramble together to put what they look like in there. And you might make them out to be a level of attraction that they actually are when they come out, and then and then you can kind of confirm that, like, oh, I still like this person. But in Irina's case, she didn't think that Zach lived up to that, even though she says it wasn't about attraction. We're so afraid to talk about attraction. This is why, and it might sound controversial, when we had Shake from a previous season discuss that, like, attraction does matter. Everyone tried to pretend like it doesn't, but he's like, Nick Lachey, you're married to a beautiful woman. What do you know about Love is Blind, So for me, it's like, I love the idea behind the experiment, Love is Blind, but the longer the show goes on, I think it's going to prove the point that physical attraction is obviously important in relationships. Okay, so let's go to the clip here and hear what Irina has to say.
I will say that when I saw him, it wasn't anything about his looks or anything, but I just had this gut feeling that something just didn't feel right. And I didn't.
She already says it. It wasn't anything about his looks.
Feel like safe or comfortable.
When was the moment that you realized that you made a mistake with Irina? Was it as soon as you saw each other, or when was that? What was that conversation that maybe you had that you're like, oh, this is not for me?
Well, I wouldn't say the mistake with Irina. What I would say is I made a mistake with not picking Bliss.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Zach is auditioning for the Broadway version of Castaway.
And I think that was the real mistake. And I knew that when I ended it. And it was kind of dealing with that. That was, I don't know how much you could see of the turmoil that I was going through with that. But when I did end it, then my very first thing was I wanted to go and tell them to bring her back.
All right, so there it is. Zach, like the rest of us, you want what you can't have. And now look, when I'm watching this season, Zach's no idiot. He realizes that Irina just isn't that into him. He's like, why are we going to take this to the altar? Like, and it brings up, like, maybe you guys know, maybe you're, more experts on this than I am. Are they under contract to get to the altar? Because it almost looks like they know, like to say Love is Blind. When you look at, and we'll get back to this video in a second, but hold on tight. Let me get my thoughts here, because I'm kind of new to covering Love is Blind as a TV show. But when you look at an experiment, you have to look at your controls and your variables, and you try to limit your variables till there's only one. Which means if you're looking at what fertilizer to use on plants, and you're going to do an experiment, they all should get the equal amount of sunlight. They should all get an equal amount of water and such forth, right? To look at that variable. Well, there are so many variables at play on Love is Blind, one of which being the picking pool. So how did they find these contestants? Because if these contestants came from a casting site and wanted to be famous and an influencer and all that stuff, then you've got this bias. Like, say Irina just wants as many Instagram followers as she can get. She's going to try to stick it out longer than possible. So not only Love isn't blind, but Love's also not immune to all of the other forces in this post-capitalistic world, late stage capitalism that we have, which is people trying to build their own social media so they can have like a career, influencing, which I don't have anything against, but that is a factor that we have here.
And that I had made the wrong choice, but I knew I had to live with the decision. And honestly, at that point, I was just ready to, I had fallen in love with two different people, and I made a choice, and I was going to go forward with that choice. So yeah, that was how I felt.
By the way, Zach looks like a kid who's trying to sneak into a liquor store to buy alcohol, so he puts a beard on.
Different people.
Was it, when did you realize with Zach that this was not for you? Was it as soon as you saw him? Was it as soon as you first had that first conversation? When did you realize that this was not the relationship for you?
I do want to say, I feel like Zach was one of my favorite people that I obviously met in the pods. I think there's a reason that he chose me, or we chose each other in that sense. And I knew that it was going to be difficult seeing him in general. We talked about it. I knew we talked about that I wasn't going to, I don't think I'd want to kiss him, or I don't want to have sex before marriage. But I do want to say that it was a lot more challenging than I thought it was going to be. Like, it was really hard to connect the connection we made in the pods versus being together. And I will say that when I saw him, it wasn't anything about his looks or anything, but I just had this gut feeling that something just didn't feel right. And I didn't feel safe or comfortable. And I feel like had that challenge in relationships in the past with like being able to feel really comfortable around a guy. So
I don't know. You guys tell me, did Zach do anything to not make her feel so comfortable? I don't know. He wasn't pressuring her and coercing her to do anything she wasn't willing to do.
I feel like it was just something that grew, and I feel like I was kind of trying to force or pressure myself to feel these feelings for him and to have this more, because I did have a great, amazing connection with him in the pods, and I generally did think I was going to marry him. But outside of that, it was like I was trying so hard to like force it and just wasn't there. And I'm going to trust my gut and go, it was best for me. So I wouldn't say it was anything really, really specific. I think maybe after I saw Paul, because I had an easy energy feeling with Paul, that I was like, wow, I really want to have that. What I have with Paul. But I just felt like, even like as a friend, I'm trying so hard with Zach, and I don't have that. And I just want to have that in my future and with my future spouse.
And it just goes to show that love isn't blind, because the second, and maybe in some cases it is, maybe in some cases their connection's so strong they stick with it, but in so many cases, when they get the chance to meet the other people that they had previously flirted with, the people they flirted with, looking at Kwame and other situations, the people they flirted with initially that they had a connection with, now that they see the physical connection, it ramps everything up. We already have this trust, we already have all that. I don't know. To me, that proves love isn't blind. I'd love to know your thoughts. I got more content on Love is Blind coming out today. I'm also going to have some featured content on the podcast. So click on the link, bachelorrushhour.com, and you can listen to some content over there. Daily afternoon free podcasting. If you have a commute home, pop it in. I try to keep it at 30 minutes or under, usually between 25 to 30 minutes. And that's the average commute. So you can come listen to that. And we welcome all the new people that are in our community on the Bachelor off season as we continue to cover Love is Blind, and we'll talk to you in a little bit.